Live from the Valley, it's your host, former Miss USA, Nia Sanchez.
Hey, baby. Okay, welcome to the Hold My Crown podcast, where we dive into life, pageants, reality TV, parenting, and so much more. Join us for special guests from your favorite reality shows and some of my very good friends, other beauty queens. This is Hold My Crown.
Hold my crown.
Welcome back to the Hold My Crown podcast. I am so glad you're here. Daniel is also glad you're here. We are so excited to jump right back into our fertility story.
Yeah.
There's some crazy twists and turns that I did not believe. And we'll be talking more about just the costs, the expenses, and some really good tips and tricks, things that helped us and we hope will also help you. And at the very end of this episode, we may or may not tell you how to get pregnant with twins. Again, none of this is medical advice.
Oh boy.
This is our experience. If you are having any type of fertility journey, wanting to get pregnant, obviously talk to your own doctor. But right as we're about to jump in, I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with us. And make sure you are following us. And if you like this episode or the last one, go back and listen to that first one so you hear the first part of our journey. Make sure to share it on social media, tag us, follow us on Instagram, all those fun things. So
let's blow it up.
Let's get right into it. Here's some tips and tricks for if you're naturally trying to get pregnant. I'm going to give a visual demonstration and I'll also describe it. Not not like a visual, I'm not going to do that. Of what your cervix looks like.
This is how you make a baby.
This is what your cervix looks like, because everyone tells women to put your hips on a pillow so you're elevated so the sperm will go in to the cervix.
Like gravity.
Like gravity, right. But your cervix, so where the vagina. Here's a medical lesson, you guys. The vagina, the inner space of the vagina, this is your cervix. It actually sticks out of the back of your vagina. It's not flat to it, because if you had gravity and it was flat to it, then it would just go straight in, but it sticks out. So if you're doing with the hips up and everything, it will kind of pool around the outside of the cervix and not actually go in. So just lay flat. Don't put your hands on or your hips on a pillow. And do not do a headstand. It will not work. I'm telling you, that's not how it works.
Pass out.
Yeah. Your head and neck will hurt for a while.
Exactly.
But yeah, your cervix is past the base of the vagina, the back of the vagina.
Yeah.
So you need to just be flat so the sperm can do their job.
Well done.
All right. 2 more tips for my non-medical advice. If you want a girl,
not just the tip, you got to go full.
Oh,
I mean, that's
stop.
That's one tip. You can't just do just the tip and think you're going to get pregnant. You have to go full.
Do people think this is funny? Do other people laugh at your jokes? I think I've heard them too many times. Moving on. Boys versus girls. This is not scientifically proven, but
where are we going off of a thing here?
Last tangent. Boys' sperm theoretically swim faster. So if you want a boy, you have a higher chance of getting a boy if you try to make a baby on the day of your ovulation or even a few hours after. Whereas if you want a girl, you would try to make a baby within that 5-day window before you ovulate, because the boy's sperm would die off and the girl's sperm are stronger and swim longer but slower, so they would keep swimming. And I think the only reason we got pregnant with our girls, is because I ovulated late, because when we thought we were trying on our ovulation day, but when I went into the doctor, she was like, "Oh no, these numbers are off. You ovulated late." So
interesting.
Okay, where were we at in our story? We're going to just wrap up the end of it, and then we'll take a break and we'll answer some very specific questions that you guys have asked.
Something that was funny is that when they did test my sperm, there was confusion. They thought that it could have been a champion stallion's sperm that had got switched because of the strength of the swimmers and the potency. They thought it was a champion stallion. Just a side note.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. All right. So we do the IUI after all the shots and everything. and the hormones that come with it, and we are not pregnant. And that was probably the biggest emotional letdown. Every month is an emotional letdown. That was the biggest one because I told myself, I'm perfectly healthy. All my numbers are right.
Yeah.
All we need is a little bit of medical help. And then another big disappointment. And so we're like, you know what? We're going to do 1 or 2 more. Our doctor said you try 3.
You do
and then
3 months.
after that, you start preparing for IVF.
Yeah.
So we did another one. And we were actually in Michigan when I would have tested, had a positive pregnancy test after that. And I was late. I was like really late, but it was COVID times. Daniel's grandfather had COVID pneumonia. So we weren't going anywhere. We weren't trying to like get him more sick. We were literally locked in the house with him, taking care of his grandfather.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm late. Like I was like,
yeah.
At this point, I was like 8 to 10 days late, like
Yeah.
over a week late. And my cycle has always been like clockwork.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know because I never took a pregnancy test, but I feel like I had maybe a really early miscarriage where it's like people would call it a chemical pregnancy.
Really?
Before like any heartbeat, before any of that. It's like it just didn't stick kind of thing. Because I've never been late like in my life.
Yeah.
So that, and it was a really heavy period. And I just remember like, did I do something? Like, was I pregnant? Did I do something to ruin this? Did I mess this up?
The answer is no.
Yeah, but you still have those feelings.
Right.
So that was that. And then we did another IUI and did not get pregnant. And I was like, what the heck is wrong with me and us? And how are you feeling after that?
At this point, I had been very positive, very hopeful, this is going to happen. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to be the rock in this situation. And, but after that third one came back negative after the IUI, I was pretty emotional. I remember like kind of breaking down and being like, what's going on, God? Like what is happening? What else do we need to do at this point?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's been a year and a half.
We've changed our whole lifestyle.
The IUI thing, I thought for sure was going to take. And then, that was my first time where I was, pretty emotional and pretty sad about our circumstance at that point. And then it was a feeling or a thought or him saying, be still. I got you guys. It's going to happen. All that type of hope started coming back. And it was, you were very set on, all right, we got to figure out IVF. Let's, figure out our options. It's super expensive. You were talking about moving to Mexico or going to like Australia.
Going to Mexico for a month.
To do IVF.
A quarter of the price.
But we agreed on saying, hey, we just did IUI. It does so much to your body, all those shots, all that, stuff that it's messing with. Let's take a few months off. And, you had looked into fertility. Acupuncture. And we were like, let's just not just relax, but let's try to get cortisol levels down. Let's just take a break from the hospital stuff and just do more natural things to try to relax and get cortisol levels down and see if we can get pregnant that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So I found an incredible doctor. And actually, if you're in LA and you're listening, tell him that I sent you because I'll get like a discount on my next session. I'm
trying to
serious.
have another baby girl. Jeez, oh Pete.
And actually, like
17 kids.
DM me and let me know if you go to him so that I know. Be like, oh, this person and this person, because I'm trying to get discounts. It's not cheap. It's over $100 a session. And I'm like, and he's like, oh, come to me 3 days a week. I'm like, that is a lot of money. Cheaper than IVF or IUI, but it's still a lot of money. So I found an incredible doctor. I wanted someone that was trained, very well trained in Eastern medicine. And he had like degrees from like Eastern medicine schools in, I think, Shanghai. So he like was born and raised in like China and had like really like a deep knowledge. And then when he lived in the US, he worked at a OBGYN clinic. So he knew the Western and the Eastern side of everything. So we went to Dr. Dan Wu.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's New Body Acupuncture in like the Miracle Mile, Beverly Hills area. If you guys are trying to look him up,
Yep.
he's incredible. And he was so confident. He was like, "Oh, I can get you guys pregnant. No worries. Like, I got
Yeah.
you." Like,
I said, whoa. I'm not me. Nia. You don't need to get me pregnant. Hold on. What's going on here?
he was so confident. He was like, "Oh, you don't need to do IUI or
Yeah, he
IVF.
goes-
Like, I got you."
He goes, yeah, don't do that. And we were like, well, we just did. And he was like, oh, I wish you would have came before me because
Yeah.
you wouldn't have needed to do that.
Yeah. He was
I mean, the guy's got
confident.
an amazing track record. Like, you look at his reviews, it's crazy.
Every review was like, "I tried for 3 years. I went to him for 2 months. I got pregnant.
Yeah.
Went to him for 6 months. Got pregnant." Like it's crazy. So,
Yeah.
and I have multiple friends. I had one friend that was trying for 2 years. She went to him for, I think it was 5 months and then got pregnant. And another friend that was trying for 1.5 to 2 years. And she went to him for like 4 months and got pregnant. So he really does know what he's doing. Don't ask me the actual medical, like what acupuncture does. But we went to him for 2 months. And in my mind, I said, this is not as expensive as IUI. And we'll talk about all the prices in just a minute after
Yeah.
the break. But this is not as expensive as IUI. And it's a more natural version of like, it's my natural fertility treatment. Like I'm still doing something
Right.
to try to get pregnant with help. So this is like what I'm going to do. So after 2 full cycles of going to Dr. Dan,
Yeah.
we found out we were pregnant. Paid a lot of money for the IUIs. All I needed
Yep.
to go was to
Yep.
fertility acupuncture. And I want to say that it doesn't work for everybody, and every fertility
course, of
acupuncture doesn't work
course.
for everybody. But
It worked
for
for
us, that's
Yeah.
what my body needed.
Yeah.
Let's take a little break, and we will come back with some very frequently asked fertility questions, tons of really good advice that you guys will be able to take away, and we'll talk about the cost because it's crazy. Wherever you're listening at, it's going to
Yeah.
be different, but the cost in the U.S. is crazy. So.
Yeah.
Quick break, and we will fill you in on all those important details.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Hopefully, you're getting a lot of good takeaways from this fertility episode. Where were we?
We got pregnant.
We got pregnant.
We got pregnant with Asher. And this next little section is going to be like the biggest section with takeaways and hopefully things that people can apply in their life and with their partners and just knowledge as well, talking about the financial side. But I want to hit one more itsy bitsy little fertility thing. So we got pregnant with Asher. We had Asher right after. I was like, I need to check my AMH again, which is how many eggs you have left in your body. And it had dropped just a little bit. And to give like exact numbers, just so you guys have like perspective, when I first got tested, before we really started diving into like the fertility world, it was at a 2.3. And they said, oh, that is perfectly healthy for a woman of your age in your early 30s. That's like, you're perfectly average. Like that's good. And then I got tested again and it was a 1.8.
Yeah.
And my doctor was like, I'm not really worried. If it drops below a 1.5, then we need to talk about freezing your eggs. Like, I don't want you to like run out of eggs, but like, you're good. And then right before we got pregnant with Asher, it was at a 1.6. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Right before we got pregnant with Asher.
Asher is at a 1.6. And
Yeah.
then I got tested at, I think, like my 6-week follow-up appointment after Asher. Because I was like, I know I'm going to want another kid. Obviously not this very second, but
Right.
soon. And it took us so long to get pregnant with Asher.
Right.
I just want to know where I'm at so I can kind of have a baseline. So I got tested and it was at a 1.3.
Yeah.
And I was like, how is that possible?
This dropping fast.
And also, how is it possible? Because if I'm growing a baby, is my body still just like dropping eggs? Where are they going? Are
Right.
they just dissolving in the middle? Like, I was very confused. But my doctor said that, yes, your egg reserve can still drop even while you're pregnant. That was weird to me. I still don't fully understand it, but that's what my doctor told me. Again, none of this is medical advice. I'm just sharing our experience.
Right.
So I was like, oh boy, now I'm below a 1.5.
Right.
So I feel a sense of urgency and I feel kind of like scared. Like the minute that we can, I want to start trying again. But you can't really try right away. And also it took us 6 months to even be able to physically like feel okay trying, you know?
Right.
So that was a whole nother thing. But once it kind of started to feel more okay and I was weaning Asher a little bit, I was like, maybe we can start trying. And I went and I got my numbers tested again around 6 or 7 months postpartum with Asher.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was like a little bit lower, like a 1.2. I don't remember. It was just a little bit lower. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, it was really low.
That was like a 0.8.
A 0.8.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once you hit 0, you have no eggs left in your body. So it was a 0.8.
Ever. There's no putting eggs back
Eggs
in your
don't
body.
grow back. You are born with all the eggs
you'll
have. Yeah, exactly. So I was a 0.8 and I was crying. I still didn't have my period back. So I was like, how I can't get pregnant if I don't have a period. Like,
right.
But I like, we need to start trying now, or if like we won't have any egg, like we won't, like, will we even be able to get pregnant? And I was scared.
Yeah.
I was sad. I texted my closest friends and I was like crying, texting them like, please pray for me to get my period back and for me to get pregnant.
Yeah.
I'm afraid I won't be able to have any more biological children. Like I was so sad and so scared. I talked to a great doctor, Dr. Amy, who was like, I don't need a period to get you pregnant. She's like, if you want to come to me, we'll get you on the right medication. We'll get your body going. And I was like, I love you. Like, I appreciate the encouragement because I was really scared and she was not scared.
Yeah.
So it was good to have that encouragement. So we're trying. Nothing's happening.
And again, I wasn't scared either. I was just trying to be.
Because you were being my rock, which I needed.
Yeah. Trying to be your rock. I just had to know that I was in this season. I just had to fill myself up again.
Yeah.
And have people that I could talk to as well, because I didn't want to talk to you about anything negative, you know, what I'm going through.
Yeah.
I just try to keep everything just positive, protect my peace, protect my mindset, stay positive.
Yeah.
And so I could overflow that into you and where we were at in our marriage.
Yeah. And like a month or two later, I think maybe I got the actual test around 5 months, because a month or two later I got my cycle back. And then and so I was like, okay, cool. Prayers answered. Got the cycle. Let's start trying. I got my numbers tested again, and it said it was a 4.3 or something ridiculous. And I'm like, that's medically impossible.
It was
medically impossible.
It was like a
3.4. Okay, 3.4. Medically impossible for you to get more eggs. So I'm like, there's something wrong with this lab.
Yeah.
Why is it now saying it's? I was like, this is not possible.
Right.
So I was like, we're gonna keep trying, and I'll get tested again. And so maybe it's a different lab or something will like give us the right number.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
So it was medically impossible to have that number jump so high.
Right.
Cut to, we do end up getting pregnant after I went to Dr. Dan, Dr. Wu, 2 times. Two times. One time, and the second time I went to him, I told him exactly where I was at in my cycle, and he actually adjusted the acupuncture needles a little bit according to like the week that I was at in my cycle. And then like 2 weeks later, we found out we were pregnant. It was like right before I was supposed to ovulate. I was like, this is where I'm at in my cycle. And then we were pregnant 3 weeks later, whatever it was.
Am I the father?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm getting pregnant after visiting Dr. Dan. The babies are your literal copy and paste.
A DNA test?
You just have to look at their faces.
Joking, I know. Spitting image.
Literal.
Yeah, that was wild. It happened so fast, and then we were like, what the heck? And then, surprise, twins.
That was a whole nother
like,
thing.
What the mother?
Dr. Dan is a really good acupuncturist. You go from thinking you're never going to be able to have another baby of your own to having twins after visiting Dr.
Just
Wu.
get on his website and just look at all the reviews and
it's
people
crazy.
talking about it and how long they had been trying and then how long they went to him. And, it's crazy.
So let's jump into things. If there's anything else that we missed that we did that was part of our fertility journey. I can think of one thing. Anything else? Can you think of anything?
Go for it.
We not only did we do the changing out like everything to glass and like not having as many fragrances and changing all of our products in our house and all of that, but we were going in every way. So it was like mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of that.
Yeah.
So I was reading a really good book. If I can find it, we'll link it in the show notes because I can't think of off the top of my head. But it was a book that described Western and Eastern medicine and points of view on the body and fertility. And so they shared like ways to connect like your soul with your partner. And do you remember we would like sit in like cross-legged position facing each other and like touch foreheads and we would like breathe, like seeing
together.
Like the air coming in and out and into you and like connecting us.
Yeah.
So we did things like that. We did fertility yoga, like partner fertility yoga. That's like you and your partner doing yoga together. That's like supposed to be like helping your fertility in whatever cycle, part of your cycle you were in.
Yeah.
We, I did a lot of fertility meditation kind of things.
Yeah.
Meditation for sure. And then also, you know how you can have like hertz, like a 4.3 hertz or whatever that like, it's like vibrational sounds. I would listen.
HERTZ.
Yes.
Not HURTS.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so I would listen to those, especially while I was getting acupuncture. So we changed a lot of things in our life, and we really, through this journey, I feel like we got closer. And I know that a fertility journey can actually pull people apart because of the stress and the emotions 100%. And the pain and the sadness of when you're not getting pregnant. So we, instead of feeling the like sadness and letting it pull us apart, we leaned into each other. Yeah. And we did a variety of things that helped us become even closer. Yeah. So, and I think a lot of that came from Daniel really being strong, but also not being afraid to be 100% himself. And like, you know, when you had those moments where you were like, it hit you too. Yeah. That's okay, because you also were so strong for me for so much of the time. Right. Like you still have to be able to like have your own expression and emotion. And so, we were just really a team, and we were there for each other. Yeah. Let's talk about the cost of fertility treatments.
Jeez. I mean, we did the IUI. How much did that cost us? Like $7,000-8,000?
It was almost $10,000, all said and done, everything included. And to give you like an insight into some of the numbers, and every place is different, but we had a clinic in Beverly Hills. When I would go in for an ultrasound scan, I'd be in there for under 5 minutes usually. Max was like 8 minutes. $200 every single scan.
Bang, bang, bang.
Blood draws.
Bang,
I think $85 a blood draw. And they'd be like, oh, we need to do 6 blood draws. And I'm like,
cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching,
but also
cha-ching.
because I felt like I was informed enough, knew what ones were time sensitive that they needed that day. And ones were like, oh, you could get the answers in 2 or 3 days and it's fine. And so I would go across Beverly Hills to my OB, and it was covered by my insurance through my OB. So being informed is important. Yeah. Speaking of that, the Egg Whisperer podcast, I actually want to have her as a guest. Dr. Amy was literally my lifeline and yours. You listen to a lot of podcasts with me. Yep. I felt this world can feel so overwhelming, especially with all the things like AMH and FMH and AAH and this and that and like all these scans and all. It feels like how do you understand all of it? And Dr. Amy breaks it down in the most like fun, silly layman's terms. Yeah. And she'll say things like one of her pieces of advice. She's like, for the men, don't get your balls high and don't get your balls drunk. And it's just like, she just says things that are like funny, but like it sticks in your head and you remember. Right. And like, don't get your balls too hot. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to remember all those things. Thanks for telling me, Dr. Amy. So
no hot tubs.
No hot tubs. Don't get high every day. Don't get drunk every day.
Exactly.
You know, and it's like all these things. She just says things in a way that are easy to understand, whether it's something simple like that or very much medical terms.
Can affect it.
And she's a doctor. Right. And so you're getting the real deal from her.
So IUI was around 10,000.
Yes. 3 rounds of IUI was around 10,000.
3 rounds of IUI, which they suggest.
Right.
They recommend that you do 3 rounds.
Right.
And then if we were to have gone down the IVF road, and I know because my sister did it, and she has 2 beautiful children, that can go anywhere from 30 to 40,000 plus.
Yes. Yeah, especially depending on what testing you do. Like you can test to see if the eggs are healthy. That's going to cost you maybe another $10,000. Right. That number might be wrong, but I know it's a lot. Like I think it goes from 30 to 40 when you do all the testing, the genetic DNA testing.
I think it was over 40 because it was like 40, and then it was like, 40. But you could do this to test this. And
right.
they're like, well, of course we want to test this. Right. And there's another $8,000 to do that.
Yeah.
So it just adds up, and it's a real problem, I think, in America.
100%. The healthcare system is definitely ripping us off, like 100% in the U.S. because I have a friend, we were both going through IUI at the same time. We both have children around the same age, her daughter and Asher around the same age. Yeah. And I was like, do you mind if I ask you the cost of IUI? Right. And I think like everything for more than one round, it was like under $1,000. And
Wow.
and then when we're talking about IVF, because I was telling her how it was $30,000 to $40,000, she was like, "What?" She's like, "Even if you don't have any insurance and nothing is covered,
Yeah.
you're not paying more than like $8,000 or $9,000."
I mean, you were full
Total.
on looking at flights and Airbnbs.
I'm like, we could fly first class,
Australia,
stay in a great Airbnb,
and
and
Mexico.
pay, and have less than the cost it would be in the U.S.
Yeah.
We couldn't go to Australia because of COVID and they weren't opening their borders yet, but we could go to Mexico.
Yeah.
So Mexico and Spain, if anybody's looking up, and I found a great clinic in Turks and Caicos too.
Oh my gosh.
But the lodgings in Turks and Caicos was going to be too expensive for that length of time. I think you have to be there for like 3 weeks. But
Yeah.
we could have easily done it in Spain or easily done it in Mexico, and it would have been less than a fourth of the cost.
Yeah.
It's like $8,000 to like $13,000, and like really good clinics in Mexico where their doctors are trained and went to medical school in the U.S. and they have all the same equipment that they have in the U.S., but they don't have the U.S. pricing.
Right.
So I was getting us ready to go to Mexico. I had a like month-long Airbnb on the beach. I was like, we're gonna just live our best life and relax because you have to relax.
Right.
And I had a great clinic and a great doctor, and I was like ready for it.
Right.
That was before Asher, and then we got pregnant.
We got pregnant a couple months later.
I think I'm gonna just.
So it is obviously crazy. It's super pricey here in
Mhm.
America. The system's messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Also, very grateful to be living in a country that does have the care that we need.
Yeah.
You know, it's just sad for a first world country
Right.
to have the situation
Right.
that we are in. But we are very blessed to, you know, be here and not be in a third world country where, you know,
Yeah.
you don't have access to anything.
Yeah, and speaking of like access, I know specifically it may have changed in the last year or so because they've been passing a lot of new laws. But when we were trying, it was almost all insurance companies in the state of California specifically excluded
Yes.
fertility treatments.
Infertility treatments.
Right. Same. Right.
Is
like
it?
you, yes.
I always get confused with that.
Same. But like, for example, your sister, we knew the cost of her fertility
Right.
treatments, but her job covered a lot of it.
It did.
And I think Starbucks in California, other states as well. But I think you can get fertility treatments if you work at Starbucks. I'm not kidding. They actually,
Stop.
they intentionally
Stop.
have put that in their healthcare coverage
Stop.
that you can get fertility treatment with a Starbucks like full-time job, which is incredible.
Wow.
So there's like, wait, if you
Because we
can't
have some of
afford
the
it,
best insurance ever because
Right.
of me with
Right.
SAG-AFTRA.
Right.
Is some of the
and it
best
still did
insurance
not cover
and
a penny, not
No.
one penny.
of infertility. or
Yeah.
fertility.
So
I don't know now. I'm very confused.
it's just very interesting that they very specifically exclude it in the state of California.
Yeah.
Yeah, wild. That is our healthcare journey. If you have any questions, DM me. Anything else? Like we can like put it into a little clip in
Me
the
too.
beginning of a future episode. But we've had so many questions over the years, and we've
Yeah.
never sat down and shared our entire story in one place. Oh, last fun fact. Okay, if you want to get pregnant with twins, I have a tip for you.
What?
I have a tip for getting pregnant with twins. Because I have some people say, I've always wanted twins. And obviously there's no real way to do it. But when we were reading twin books, once we got pregnant, we were listening to a lot of twin books on audio. They said that there's countries in Africa that have significantly higher rates of twin births than the rest of the world, like
Sweet
way higher.
potatoes.
They eat a lot of sweet potatoes and yams in those specific locations. And I was eating sweet potatoes every single morning. Every morning for like probably 6 months because my mom.
Because I was making you breakfast.
You were making me
every
breakfast, but
morning.
my mom made this sweet potato hash.
Exactly.
With bell peppers and onions. But we didn't know that sweet potato was also a fertility thing.
Yeah.
And people say for twins. We did not know that. So it was sweet potato, bacon, onion, bell peppers mixed in to eggs every
Yeah.
single day for probably 6 months before we
Yeah.
got pregnant with twins. So if you want to get pregnant with twins, try having sweet potatoes. Fun tip of the day. You never know. It could work. Thank you for
No
listening.
scientific fact to that, by the way.
None.
We just have to throw that out there.
No, but there are higher rates of twins in communities that eat more sweet potato,
Yes. I guess. I don't know. You're saying that.
according to the book that I read. Okay. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, guys. Make sure you subscribe, follow us, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Thank you for allowing us to share our journey and our story with you. Please let
Yes.
us know what your story is. Connect with us on social media. We love you guys. This is at Daniel Bucco I am at Real Nia Sanchez, and we love you. Have an incredible day.
Love you.
And if
blow
you're
this thing up.
Yeah.
Blow this thing up.
And
People need to hear this.
sparkly baby dust. Is that what it's called? Sticky baby dust. That's a thing in the fertility world. We wish you good luck with sticky baby dust. Yeah. Have a great day. Love you guys. Bye.
Yay Media Group.